All right, that leads us to talking about Logic, who actually has quite a bit of stuff going on since we last talked about him. We mentioned that he had come out of retirement and was getting, back into the industry. He had never retired from music, but he had stopped releasing stuff as Logic on, streaming services or anywhere else you could find it. He had only really been putting stuff out on YouTube for free to listen to. So he came back at the end of June with the YS Collection Volume 1. And so this is a collection of songs from Logic's past mixtapes. So he did those mixtapes from 2009 to 2013. I don't think there's anything from his 2009 project on here. It's probably just from his 2011, 12, and 13 projects. And they were really hefty mixtapes, like 20 plus tracks each. You can go ahead and download them and listen to them in full if you have a datpiff.com account or just, search them up on YouTube. But there's a lot of samples that have been used in these. And he finally got how many tracks here? Four. Okay, so he got 13 tracks from his old mixtapes cleared and put on this collection. And then there's another track that seems somewhat more recent called Tokyo Nights that's on here as well. But you can listen in on these tracks. Like there's samples used on here, and it seems like there were a couple missing that I would have rather, switch some songs out with maybe, but it was cool that he's going back and, not re-recording anything, but working behind the scenes to get the clearance to be able to put this stuff on streaming. Like he has to pay any sample that he uses, he has to talk with them, and they're either whoever owns the music, like a master's holder, the actual artist, or the artist's label or people working for them that work on licensing, where he's getting the samples cleared so then he can put them up on streaming and pay them a percentage or pay them a flat fee to be able to do so. So I'm not sure he's really making much money here, but he's just doing this for the fans' enjoyment. And it's some essential Logic tracks. Like if you had only known Logic from maybe his first couple of projects a couple of years ago, I don't think you would have got the full picture of him if you didn't know about his mixtape era. Like you wouldn't have been able to sort of approach his music with an idea of where he came from and where he's at now if you didn't know about these tracks. So it does seem like it's a bit late. Like he's been working on this for a while, because the newest track on here is, Tokyo Nights, which was previously unreleased. But other than that, the newest track on here was released in 2013. So it's cool to see it on streaming now. People can enjoy it there. Just another place to enjoy the music. But what are your guys' thoughts on sampling in general? Like, I think this brings up a really good debate on how people should be able to use and reinterpolate music that has already been released and put out, and that whole process, because he isn't able to release this even though the songs are done on streaming until he gets everyone to sign off and say okay if he used their sample. And they have behind the scenes dealings on how much people are getting paid. But what are your guys' thoughts on that in general and that whole process? I feel like it's just really hectic. And one thing that I wanted to bring up was, J. Cole at the end of 2014 Forest Hills Drive, he was even talking back then about how it was such a grueling process to get all the samples cleared so then you can just release the music and give it to the people after it's created. Should there be able to, appeal to people without waiting to release it? You say, I'm going to promise, a certain percentage to you, or should they continue with the process now of doing it before the music's ever released?
Yeah, I know, like at least when, like, maybe not at first when they release the mixtapes, but when artists like Logic did now, and with how Drake did it with the, I think it was the Dark Lane demo tapes when he got the it was that, or
He did another one as well
yeah, it
that
was
was
called
some older
something
stuff.
else. It was called something else where he like got a bunch of his old mixtape stuff and like old B-sides and stuff out, and was able to get that on Spotify. like it makes me happy when their artists are actually finally able to like get those going, even if they're not like making the most money off them because of like what they got to clear through and like what they got to pay out on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it makes me happy that like stuff that they made back then is able to like shine on streaming now. I can go back to it, but I'd prefer it better if like the process was just easier for artists to like be more like liberal with what they use from like other media, and if yeah we can just get those like original mixtapes out in their like original form.
Like honestly, I think the artists are definitely owed their dues. Like I think that everyone should get some kind of compensation from it if it was a sample that was used that they created or came up with on their own. But like I don't think it should be this hard for an artist to be able to release old music with those samples on it. Like you said, like I don't think there should be a pre-approving process necessarily because you're not stealing their work. You're still making your own music and your own,
Hmm.
your own art. But like
It's
I
transformative
would see
in
it,
nature, is how you could phrase
and I
that.
well,
Like it's
and
not
I
the
would
same thing.
see it more. Yeah, and I would see it as more of an appreciation of the other person's work too. And so, like,
Hmm.
just give them a percentage and stop being fucking stingy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like that's been a debate with hip hop for as long as hip hop's been a thing, just because like revisiting and resampling and reinterpolating like the older music has been the way that hip hop's been created. So,
Like literally the other day, like from like the beginning of hip hop. Like the other day we were listening to it was the I'm forgetting it right now, but it was the song that had the same bass line from Rapper's Delight.
oh yeah.
And it's like Good Time or something. But like that song and like the very first like rap song, like it was already using like this like bass line that was like essential to making the beat of the very first like stuff.
Mhm. Yeah. I just hope that we can get that situated in a better way, because it's just a lot of middlemen getting in the way and people trying to stick their hand in and get some money where they can. Like artists should be able to agree upon a specific percentage without having, so much crazy back and forth or saying no, you can't use it. Um, and just sort of getting in the way of the art being released and enjoyed by people. But I mean, check this track list out for the Young Sinatra collection, though. There's some essential ones, like All I Do is
Mm.
from his Young Sinatra, the very first mixtape. And then I think one might be as well, but then there's a lot that are from the
Oh,
2013 mixtape.
yeah, he's got 5 a.m. on there.
Yeah, so I think his 2013 mixtape, Young Sinatra Welcome to Forever, is just an amazing project in general. And there's a lot of those tracks on here. I would say that makes up like the majority almost. And also Tokyo Nights by Like is tossed in there. But yeah, it's just cool to see that re-released, and I hope that getting those samples cleared and out to the people becomes easier. But we actually don't stop talking about Logic there, because he revisited his Bobby Tarantino mixtape series. So he's gone on to announce that he's putting out more tracks, leading up to Bobby Tarantino 3. He said fun tracks and real raps is sort of the tagline, or what he said on July 1st about the project. And so he's released two singles so far, sort of leading up, and they couldn't be more different vibes, honestly. I thought the first one definitely was a Bobby Tarantino type of vibe, like that more trap type beat style and a bit more, modern influenced. But then the second song was a totally different vibe. It was pretty unique. I mean, a bit slower as well. And I feel like with the BPM of Bobby Tarantino, I'm expecting something a bit faster. Um, but the first track that came out, it was before he announced that it was actually going to be Bobby Tarantino 3 that was coming up. But the first track announced was Vaccine. And the title in general is questionable. It's like you're almost going to be cringy if you name a song Vaccine, but he
Mm.
didn't even like try and talk about COVID or anything like that. Like I
Yeah.
felt like the title was just sort of thrown on there.
Yeah.
But what were your guys' reactions to this first single from Bobby Tarantino 3?
Yeah, I thought it was weird with the title how it was just like I don't think he said the word a single time in the whole thing. It was just maybe he's saying it's like, oh yeah, this is like the cure for like whatever, I don't know. But like something like that. But I thought it was pretty good. And I guess there was also Migos, their vaccine song. I thought it was alright.
On Culture 3.
There, you know about the pandemic, how it goes.
Oh
But
my god.
I thought this track it was all right. Like you were saying, it definitely felt like a Bobby Tarantino product, but I thought it was pretty good. It was all right.
Uh, it definitely felt very Bobby Tarantino esque. Like I mess with that a lot. Like I'm a big fan of the Bobby Tarantino projects, especially the second one. Um, the art gave me cyberpunk vibes. Like I felt like this could have been a cyberpunk song, especially if you think about the production too. But yeah, it had nothing to do with vaccines, which is fine. Maybe it's just a cure for our lack of Logic music lately in his retirement and trying to make us feel better about him retiring and coming back. But it was a good track, and then it was short and sweet, and I was a big fan of it. I'm just a Logic fan in general, so
Yeah, I'm
he's always
always
got my
looking for
support.
his I'm looking for his new releases, like looking forward to listening to it and hoping for the best. But yeah, check out this cover art. It's pretty much an ink blot that they put a line through, and shout out Juan, who is the guy working at Bobby Boy Records doing all the art and stuff. I saw he posted a bit of a timeline of how he came up with the concept for this single art, and it was really cool to see his process a bit. But it does sort of have some cyberpunk vibes. It's funny you say that. I didn't think about that before, but maybe it's just like the neon yellow color as well. They use that in a lot of their promotional stuff for Cyberpunk 2077. But yeah, that was the first track, and he had put, you know, this announcement out that this track was coming out on June 30th, and then on July 1st, then announces that Bobby Tarantino 3 is actually the project that it's going to be on, and that's what we're leading up to. Before this past Friday, he put out Get Up, which was a totally different vibe. What were your guys' thoughts on this track? It was a much more mellow and laid back vibe than Vaccine being like in your face and quick like you would expect.
Yeah, this one definitely reminded me more of the like supermarket type vibes than like the Bobby Tarantino stuff that he was putting out. Because he definitely has like the guitar going in there and then the singing. He did come in with the rapping, which he did on the supermarket too. He had a lot of songs like that where it's like pretty slow guitar singing and then like one verse and out. So like I felt
Yeah.
like his like kind of formula for this reminded me of like what he was working on back then.
It was a vibe. I feel like I feel like a lot of us can resonate with the title of the song and like the meaning behind it. This past year and a half and how crazy life has been. But I do really appreciate the acoustic bits of it. Like I thought it sounded really good. It was a nice little element to the song. And plus, you know, like I feel like I was happy he came out with a verse on that. Like I would
I
have been
think
fine if he just
uplifting
stuck with the singing.
Yeah, I think uplifting Logic is probably one of my favorite pockets that Logic can get into, especially songwriting. Like when he's trying to uplift the listener and be
Hmm.
inspirational, I feel like his story really resonates with that style.
Yeah, like I
Yeah,
feel
well,
like
like
J. Cole is one of the best at that, and like when Logic kind of gets into like that sort of a lane, that's where he's like doing his best.
Right.
I just like I don't know. It just makes me think of 1-800 Logic or Black Spider-Man Logic or like the
Well,
songs off of those albums. Everybody like it was a very inspirational track, and I was a big fan of it. I liked it a lot.
mhm.
Both the singles were fire. I
Yeah,
liked them all.
Yeah,
I
I'd
feel.
say I like the second one, and I will be
Mhm.
revisiting the second one more than I would Vaccine. I feel like, just in my opinion, Vaccine was a little bit forgettable, and um, I mean, yeah, it's the comeback track or whatever, but it didn't resonate as well as this track did with me personally.
Yeah, for me, like it just kind of felt like I'd heard it before, you know. Like
Hmm.
I didn't think it was bad or anything. It just felt like yeah, I've heard like I heard like pretty similar to this before.
Well, great. I'm glad that we were able to talk about that. I mean, he didn't put a release date out for Bobby Tarantino 3 yet. He just said, sort of, this is the era, this is where these tracks that I'm releasing are going to be ending up. But we'll see when that drops. I'm definitely going to be listening to it right on the night that it comes out, and I'm sure we'll want to talk about it here on the podcast. So stay tuned for that once that drops.